Hey guys, welcome back to Soul in the Game podcast. This is your host, Soumya. Today we have a very special guest. I call him Sir David Attenborough of the bird world to celebrate Earth Day 2025. Please welcome Mr. Manju Venkat. Manju Venkat is originally from Bengaluru, India, but has been living in Southern California and in US for almost 30 years now. Manju Venkat's journey spans continents and deeply is still rooted in love for natural world. With nearly 3 decades of calling US his home, Manju brings a unique global perspective to the environmental biology, and I love talking to him. Nature runs in his family. Born into a family where conservation was just not talked about but also lived, his grandmother served as his spiritual compass into the natural world, while his father, a forest biologist, nurtured the scientific curiosity that would shape his career path. Who he is today when he is not peering through binoculars, leading the community bird walks. You will find him capturing delicate details of feathered friends through his camera, translating their beauty also into watercolor art. So he's both a photographer and an artist. This blend of scientific precision and artistic expression makes him uniquely engaging voice in the environmental education world. And I was thrilled to talk to him about birds and learned so much from him about birds. Proud father of 2, Manju comes from his family legacy of environmental stewardship through active involvement in community projects across Southern California. Let's get inspired and also help next generation get inspired. Look closely and then protect the natural wonders that surrounds us, the birds. Keep listening till the end and please give your feedback. Happy Earth Day again. Hi Manju, thank you so much for joining us on Soul in the Game podcast, and very warm welcome to you on this show. I'm very, very excited and thrilled to have you. It's an honor because to me you are our David Attenborough of the bird world. So I'm mesmerized by all the pictures that I've seen you take of the birds and the way you project nature. So I'm happy we are celebrating Earth Day 2025 with you, Manju Venkat. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Soumya. It's a great pleasure being on the podcast with you. And what a great thing you're doing. It's amazing. And I'm very impressed that you are reaching out to people through your podcast. And today, I wanted to talk about nature in with the advent of um, the Nature Day coming up, and um, the interest we have and the love we have for the planet. I wanted to talk about how we relate to nature and what is our role in this planet, and as well as something about my own passion and how I became a biologist, and also my love for birds and in particular and photography. It is not to say that I don't love other animals. I do. I love every creature on the planet and the planet itself. But I'm particularly fond of birds, and through my presentation I will relate why birds are so important to me. Um, just a little bit about myself, because um, I am by profession a biologist, but I do this as a hobby. I take photographs and I also love painting of birds. So let's start with the presentation. I- The presentation is also about how people can gain confidence in themselves at a troubling time like this. Everybody is worried about many different things in the world today. Nature is always comforting. So I wanted to show that nature protects you and you are part of nature. Anyway, let's begin the presentation. There is divinity within us. We are divine because we have nature within us. There's many views of nature with different cultures all across the world. People worship nature and respect nature in different forms. Hinduism, the doctrine of Hinduism, has a very strong connection with nature. Hinduism views nature as sacred and integral to spiritual life. Often, Hinduism portrays nature as a manifestation of the divine. So, nature itself is divine. But we are also divine because we have nature in us. So, that's the why I titled it The Divinity Within Us. We see nature as the body of God with the five elements that we recognize: earth, water, fire, air, and space being fundamental components of the universe. Every living matter is comes out of these five elements. This perspective emphasizes the interconnectedness of nature. We are all linked. Even inanimate objects are linked to us. So Hindus believe that the natural world is held in a trust, and we are responsible to make sure that there is a sustainable form of using this trust, respect for the trust, and use of that trust. This concept, however, is not unique to Hinduism or Hindus. Many Native American cultures also follow a kind of doctrine called animism, believing that all objects and elements of the earth, both living and non living, have spiritual connection and a spirit in it. Even a stone is believed to have a spiritual connection to us. Soil, leaves of a tree. The concept of Earth Mother is inherent in Native American culture, which is also common to us in terms of Hindus, in terms of Bhumi Devi. So the earth is a source of life and sustenance. There is a principle called Gaia. It's a very ancient principle uh, put forth by a scientist called James Lovelock. And in the Greek mythology, it is considered that the ancestral mother of all life is often referred to as Earth Goddess. The same concept again. In addition to her mythical role, the term Gaia is also used to describe the Earth as a single self-regulating system, concept known as Gaia hypothesis, that the whole universe can function as a single organism, taken bits and pieces from everywhere on the planet and becomes an entire one single organism. That's why, again, it comes back to the interconnectedness. If you harm the waters, let's say in the Pacific Ocean, that has an impact on waters in the Atlantic Ocean or far away in the Hawaiian or Gulf of Mexico. So, anyway, everything is interconnected. That's the principle behind it. So, why the question comes in when there is so much of spirituality within us and all around the world, why then do we disrespect nature? What are the reasons that humans treat nature in such a um, profoundly disrespectful manner? It is sometimes intentional, sometimes unintentional. Our as hunters and gatherers in the prehistoric times, uh, the f- fight or flight response in humans was an adaptation to real danger of something being attacked. But that concept, that inherent f- fight or flight makes humans also aggressive towards nature. It's come down through years of evolution, but that is what we need to change. Human brains have adapted to new and safer environments, but when this environment we perceive as difficult, then we lose the respect for nature. Growing demand for natural resources, stress, overpopulation, increasing per capita consumption, unsustainable development in the name of profit, all of this contribute to us drifting away from nature and respecting nature. And some are human cause, some are natural causes too. But then these are the reasons why we tend to not understand nature as a whole, and then it becomes human based emotional response. So, how can we respect nature? How can we change this attitude we have, anger, stress, and selfishness, over exploitation of nature? For all these symptoms, how can we change this action on the part of humanity? Um, Understanding the spiritual connection is important first. We have to go back to our and go back in our books, so to say, and say what has changed us, over the time when we used to respect nature more. What has changed? Can we go back to that spiritual? So recognizing that nature is spiritual itself, its spirituality itself, is the first thing. This perspective is called eco spirituality. It finds meaning and reverence in all elements of nature, individual trees and animals to the entire ecosystems and entire planet. Again, we often repeat the same thing over and over again. When you talk about respect for nature and spiritual connection with nature, you repeat you repeatedly emphasize the interconnectedness of humans and the environment. Everything is connected. So we embrace the philosophy that we are the extension of nature. So we must find the divinity within us. As my first slide said, we are the divinity because nature is within us. So understanding the spiritual connection and finding our own divinity of nature within us is the most important step towards realigning ourselves with nature. Now comes a little bit about myself. Because this was the introductory one, where I was conveying how important it is to reconnect ourselves with nature. Now it is about how did I become a part of nature, or what I do, my passion for nature, and my appreciation of nature. As a young boy, I developed a deep passion and love for nature. My grandmother was a wonderful teacher, my first mentor, in fact, and she would take me out on walks into the jungle and forests, or nearby gardens and woods, and she would show me the trees and the plants and the animals, and she would make me listen to the birds singing, and she would say, behold, you are not alone. Nature is around you and it protects you, but you have to respect it. So that she was my first mentor, an ecologist teacher, so to say. On top of all that, my father was a forest biologist, so it ran in my blood. It was in my family, and he further extended my appreciation of nature. As a forest biologist, he would take me into the jungle. I remember one time when we were deep in a forest, and he asked the driver to put off the light of the vehicle, and it was pitch black and very oppressive, and the air was filled with such a strong um, element of nature. You couldn't see anything, but you heard the sounds of the jungle, and that gave me a very powerful vibe that nature is extremely powerful.
Who's a forest biologist? Like, what type of work is that
Yeah.
involved?
In the profession of biology, there is a wide range of occupations or professions, specializations, so to say. You can be a biochemist, which is a biologist in a sense. You can be a cell biologist, where you can study cells in a lab. You can be an environmental biologist like me, who studies the effects of human impacts on the environment. So the biological impacts from humans and the planet, on the planet. You can also be a forest biologist, where you specialize in the forest ecosystem of what are the impacts to the forest, or how even a forest functions biologically. What are the protection mechanisms that we can have for forests? How does a forest function? What animals live in the forest? So a forest biologist studies everything about the forest.
It's like a system, a
Exactly.
forest as a system, right?
Correct.
And understanding it holistically. Okay.
Correct. Holistic understanding of the forest.
Mm.
Uh, he could be a biologist, could also be an urban forest biologist, which is closer to humans in the cities. There is also forests in the cities, in a sense. But my father was a biologist who studied pure forests, different kinds of forests in India. And but one important element is that, no matter what aspect of biologist you are, or studies of the environment, you are part of the environment. You are not removed from that element of forest. When you study forest, you are also studying yourself. That concept is lost. That you are an integral part of
Yeah.
an environment is very important. If, as an environmental biologist, I go into a woodland
Yeah.
and I'm studying that woodland, of the impacts of the impacts of your action on the woodland. If I remove myself from that element, I'm not doing a very good job of studying that. So I have to become a part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I think I interviewed one of the pastors. He's 2 years ago for the same podcast, and he goes on giving speeches about protecting conservation,
Right.
conserving our environment, and then he says, "Think of nature," and then everybody thinks forest and then greenery and everything, but they eliminate themselves from that.
That's right.
What
That's
you're saying is exactly the same thing. You are part of the nature too. You're not
right.
separate, but you
Right.
are part of nature.
You
So
have to
that
become
that's
one
right.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gandhi used to say, to understand the poor, you have to be one among them. So that's the same concept. If you don't involve yourself in the heart of the environment, or if your heart doesn't beat in the same pulse as the environment or the jungle, you're not part of it. Your studies are less effective. So that's why I have this statement that when I am in nature, I become one. So any birding, as I said, is my deep passion, and anyone can enjoy birding. It's not just that you have to be a biologist or a specialist. So David Attenborough made a beautiful said a beautiful quote. Everyone loves birds. What wild creature is more accessible to our eyes and ears, as close to us, and everyone in the world as universal as a bird? So it's everywhere, even in your backyard. You go outside, you hear birds.
What bird is it, by the way?
This is called a painted redstart.
Oh,
And I photographed this in it's I think it was in Texas. I photographed this. Yeah,
so gorgeous.
yeah, it's
Look at
beautiful.
look at the color
Yeah,
contrast, the
yeah,
orange, red, and black, and
right, gorgeous bird.
oh, my favorite. Wow.
Yeah, and as you can see, there is so many spiritual um, statements associated with birds, quotes, and uplifting kind of sentiments associated with birds. Here's one of them: faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. So, again, appreciating nature and birds, you can gain a lot of upliftment. Your sorrows are diminished, your joy increases, and you feel confident about yourself and the fact that the world is a good place despite all the bad things that quote unquote bad things that happen. Life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this is another picture of yours, and
it
this
is.
is
Yeah, this
an award, right?
right. The this is a called a broad-billed hummingbird. This was photographed near Santa Barbara, and it's a bird that is very common to your neck of the woods, Arizona. But sometimes they come over to California, and birds have no boundaries. There is no immigration office stopping birds, and that's the
See
beauty.
them.
That's right. That's right. Next slide.
This one is really gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can stare at it forever, Manju. I cannot.
I know.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. I love birds and photographing birds, as I said. Birds come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. There are an estimated 20,000 species of birds worldwide, and that might just be a very conservative number. There might be more. They are found in nearly every part of the world. Birds are found in all kinds of environment: deserts, urban areas, forests, oceans, mountains, rivers, streams. Birds have an astonishing variety of sounds and calls they can make. Very fascinating. Even your backyard can be a fascinating place to watch birds. Anyone can start a hobby watching birds. And the trick is you don't always have to, and the nice thing about birding is you because they're omnipresent, they're present everywhere, and there are so many of them, you don't have to spend a lot of money traveling to some exotic land to see birds. You can enjoy it in your backyard. And there are some things that you can do to um, encourage birds to come to your backyard. Water is an important thing. Have a small bird bath, a water fountain, and you can do the water fountain yourself. There are many do it yourselves on YouTube. You can watch that. You have to have some food, seeds. Birds like orioles like oranges, and they have a sweet tooth, and they also like jams, jelly. So you can put that, and it gives you immense many hours of fascinating time to observe these birds. Next slide. um, Not sure. Okay, yeah, okay. Do you have that click to on the video link?
I don't think so. Don't.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't seem like.
Oh, that's uh,
That's okay. Maybe we can share like what you were planning to share. I can try to put the link in the description of this particular
Yeah,
topic that
yeah.
you're talking about.
If you probably save this on your desktop, the
Mhm.
presentation, and then click on it, it might allow you to play the record.
I see.
Yeah.
You want me to try now?
Yeah, if you can, if it's not too much of a.
Let me try. Hold on. While I do that, Manju, I
Yeah,
want to understand your experience, and also how did it all start? How did you get into birding specifically, right? Because you're a biologist and you have interest in almost every aspect of nature, but why did you choose birds and
good
what
question.
got into that? Yeah,
Yeah. Um, well, basically, when I began to look at, when I was young, youth in India, teenager, I began to notice that a lot of vultures and other birds, birds of prey like hawks, would be impacted by human activity quite a bit. Either they would get caught in nets, and or people would hunt them down, because they were coming after their food. Sometimes in the market, I would see these kites coming and stealing some of the food, and they were somewhat persecuted. I saw signs of them being hurt, and use of pesticides I began to notice were also hurting these birds. So I then began to ask people who were um, involved in studying birds in the urban areas, and they began to tell me these birds are declining because of all these impacts, habitat destruction. While I realized other animals were also being destroyed, and their numbers were going down, their habitats were being destroyed. Birds in particular appealed to me because their numbers of declining numbers were immense, very strong. And so I decided, I would start doing my own studies informally, and documenting things. That's how it started. And then the fact that every time I took a picture, I realized how fascinating these birds are. And the wings of the birds, the color and the calls of the birds were all so varied and diverse. That's how I got into the bird situation. Yeah.
that's fascinating. And then it's more like you've probably, do you know how many types of birds you have kind of captured or you have deeply connected with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I probably have photographed over 120 species of birds.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, 120.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fascinating. And different species as in not same type of hummingbirds, right? It's
yes,
different,
different
not
species.
hummingbird, different species.
Yeah,
So yeah,
birds
that's
of the same kind, like
mm,
hawks, eagles, kites, are all called. It's called a guild. The guild that guild of eagles and hawks and kites are of the same guild. Now, hummingbirds are of one guild, so that's what the biologists call. It's the similar. It's like among the big cats, it could be tiger or a panther, or a mountain lion. So that's a guild of cats. So I have photographed many different guilds of birds, aquatic birds, birds that live on rocky areas, those kinds of things. Yeah,
that is amazing. And I'm gonna try to share
yeah.
again.
If you can't, that's all right. We can move on.
Okay, let's see. Because sometimes it does allow me to. Hmm.
Doesn't.
It's not recognized. It's this, I think it's having the same issue you had earlier.
Okay.
It's not recognizing that application. And from the browser, it's not playing.
Mm.
So I downloaded it, but it's not playing. I'm gonna try one last time.
Wondering if I can hit share and let me see. No, it doesn't allow me to either to share.
Interesting sometimes how this technology really works or it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
It's okay. So, yeah, I had some very good videos on different birds and bird calls. Um, that's all right. So we can continue with the presentation and talk
Yeah,
about.
I'm gonna maybe skip the video part and go to the. I
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
your picture. Let me know which one
yeah.
where.
That yeah. I just wanted to show a photograph of myself, you know. And when I do travel all over the world, I have traveled to about 16 countries to do birding.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's a photograph from Costa Rica. And when you go out birding, like this on a trip, it is such a fascinating thing. It's not about just getting there itself. It is even packing up for the trip. It is very exciting, and you've got friends coming with you, and even going through the airport to sit on the plane. That itself creates an excitement for you. So I encourage people to do that, to go birding, go on bird trips. You don't have to always focus on birds. If your interest is culture, you can also see places, interesting places, temples, buildings, dances, those kinds of things. So the bird excursions offer a variety of entertainment and education. This is what form can teach you as much education as this.
Yeah.
You know,
What's I mean, I don't know if it's a good question, but I'm gonna ask anyway.
that's
From
all.
coming out from a completely outside perspective, what's a very good country or geographical location for exotic birds? Exotic as in not like expensively exotic type, but more diverse. Um,
There are many
favorite.
countries,
There are
many
many.
countries. Uh, America has places where there's a lot of birds.
Hmm.
And Texas, for example, southeastern Texas has a lot of variety of birds. Depends
Hmm.
on the migration time. If you go in the proper migration uh, time, then you find a lot of birds. You find a lot of birds in along the west coast of the United States, and outside of the U.S. One of the most famous countries to go birding is Costa Rica. A lot of people go birding in Costa Rica. It's a subtropical, tropical country, and so there's a lot of wonderful, colorful birds. And I've got some photographs to show you. Australia is a great continent for birding. Has a wonderful variety of birds. Brazil has a lot of birds. So almost every country has something to offer, and these birds are wonderful. Iceland, for example, people go to Iceland to photograph birds like puffins. And so, and geographically, the the different places you go, you see a variety of different kinds. Sometimes you say the same kind, but in a different form. So
I
that's
was going to ask that. Yeah. Like pigeons, right? They're all unique to their own
right.
geographical
Correct.
location. Yeah.
Yes. Next slide.
Oh, look at that.
This is some of
Wow.
my photographs, and these are California birds, and the one on the left with the yellow plumage is called a hooded oriole, and this is the one that has a sweet tooth. It likes jellies and grape jelly and orange slices. And this can be attracted to your backyard if you're living in the range of this bird. The one on the right is a European starling. It's an introduced species. And believe it or not, this bird looks entirely black. If
Wow.
Yeah, if
Okay.
the proper lighting is not there, when the sun
Oh,
hits it, it looks dazzling. And
look
it's
at that color. It's like a rainbow
right,
on its
right.
body.
And it
Wow.
looks almost black most of the time. But when
Mm.
you hit it, that's why I took this picture. I waited about 2 hours to capture this shot because I knew when the sun comes up and if these birds were going up and down, that's when I click on the shutter
Wow.
button.
So you just wait. That's another thing that fascinates me from a photography world is the patience, or you may not even see that as, you don't see that as a negative thing. You're just waiting for the right moment. But for a person like me, probably, it's that just waiting time, right? To get that you know it's gonna happen, so you're waiting for it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Birding is all about patience.
Yeah.
Yes. Some of my friends and I, when we go birding, we may wait for 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
Yes.
Do
For
you take snacks? Do you go take breaks?
Yeah, we take snacks, we take some coffee, tea sometimes, but
Okay.
sometimes it's not possible to carry all this in some
Yeah.
locations. So you have to entertain yourself and keep yourself alert. And even for one shot, you may have to wait 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And we have done that. And
Wow.
people say, you must be crazy. Yes, we are.
Yeah. And because it's so zoomed in, you can't keep moving the camera either, right? You
Right.
have to keep it like stable
Stable.
in
Yeah.
order to get that type of. So you need to know already where the bird is going to be. So you're keeping that angle
Right.
static.
Right. And anticipation
Wow.
of when the birds come out, what they
Oh,
do. In some ways, for me, it's an advantage being a biologist. I know the behavior of birds,
yeah.
so it's a little. But anybody can learn this. It's not unique. The more they do, they realize that there's a certain pattern for each bird. They're not totally unpredictable, so you can anticipate certain things. Yeah.
Do you learn before about a bird before, like, do you read about it or do you talk about it or do you or get your judgment based on your previous experience?
Absolutely, yes. Not for all birds.
Yeah.
Some of the common birds over the years, know them so well, but they are sometimes unpredictable. They can be. So I try to read up as much as possible. There are many website sources that you can even listen to their calls
Yeah.
and practice that so that it sticks in your memory, and when you are out in the open, when you hear the call, you know that's the bird. So I do a lot of research. Yeah.
So you're familiar with different bird
bird,
calls
bird
and then the
calls.
type of bird. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
all.
Yeah, I can recognize over 100 bird calls in the
Oh,
US alone. Yeah.
wow. Oh, you have to have like real good sense of hearing for that.
Yes, you do. You do.
subtleties and
Yes.
yeah, the
Yes.
quality of sound and
Correct. Correct.
wow.
Yeah. You have to have some good hearing and, eyesight. But as you grow older, these diminish, but that's okay because some birds are very large and very loud. You can still enjoy birds. And that again goes back to why I love birds because there's so many varieties of them. They come in all say shapes and sizes that for everybody there is something, you know. And next slide, please.
Oh, look at
So
that.
yeah, this is again local California birds. And the one on the left is called cedar waxwing, and they love these red berries. Um, and the one on the right is a warbler called Townsend's warbler. Again, if you look at the both these pictures, the background is very blurred. That makes the subject stand out, and that's a photography trick. You put the settings, and that's called depth of field. You try to get a situation where the bird is in the front and the background is far away, and you get that background. So,
I
and
love the left one, the way angle,
yeah,
the
yeah,
side, what do you call the perspective
right,
of that bird,
yeah, and it's
and
eating
the
a berry, and
yeah, the way it's holding that berry so delicately. It's
correct, yeah.
before. So did it swallow? Do you know, or did
Yes,
it throw
it
it
did.
out?
It did. And I shot a sequence of photographs showing the swallowing also. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. This is the one on the left I got an award for. This is the broad-billed hummingbird. Thank you. And yeah, this came, as I said, this is not a bird that is very common to California. More common in Arizona and New Mexico and Central America. But it came to somebody's yard, and we have among the birders there is many different sources to let us know some rare bird is theirs. So there was a beehive. Everybody was going to that house to photograph this bird. Yeah,
And
and
hummingbirds love those sweet, I think, treats.
nectar, yeah,
Nectar.
nectar,
Hmm.
yeah, and you can make them, but now the research is saying that it is best that hummingbirds directly feed from flowers. It's,
Yeah, because I did. Yeah, I think I had a hummingbird feeder with sugar syrup putting in
yeah,
to attract them.
yeah. You can still do that, but if
Hmm.
you're going to do that, uh, my advice is to keep the nectar replenished, clean, clean nectar every often, a few days, because if you let it sit there for long, it'll ferment or have mold that can harm the.
Yeah,
Yes, so you have to be
impact the health of the bird,
correct.
right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And the one on the right is called a vermilion flycatcher, and it's a beautiful bird. And a lot of the colors of the bird comes from the food it eats, too, berries and insects, and it metabolizes that in the body, and that's how they get their color. Yeah, next
The
slide. Yeah,
the hummingbird, I just wanted to highlight what I'm observing basically because I always thought when I'm looking at the hummingbird, it feels like the skin,
yes,
gray color. Sometimes I see splash of colors,
right,
but it's like every single strand is of its own color in the
correct,
pic you have
right.
captured.
And that's a marvel of engineering, even the feathers, because they overlap each other and it keeps the bird warm. The
Mhm.
air is trapped between each feather, um, and then the bird stays warm. It's amazing. Nature is really amazing, and you see the yellow coloration on the beak, and that's pollen.
Ah,
Yeah.
right,
So
right. The yellow, right. I
yeah,
see the powdery
right,
yellow thing. Okay.
right. And that's transferring pollen to one flower. So they are also helping nature. They help farmers. um, in the pollination. So birds play a very vital role. So this is uh, again more birds. These are all called songbirds because they sing, and they're also called perching birds because they perch on branches. So the one on the left is called an indigo bunting, and the one on the right is called lazuli bunting. Somebody was saying you created a Ukrainian flag with this photograph.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's right. Background, you have the
Yes.
blue and yellow there.
The yellow is actually mustard, and the blue
Okay.
is the blue sky. And
Wow.
I didn't
Mm,
think about it until they told me, and I realized, yeah, that's true.
right. Even the background matches the bird color too. Bird also has the yellow breast, I think, and the blue head.
Right, right.
God.
If you wanted to, I can very quickly uh, play the song of uh, Indigo Bunting. For some reason now, okay, hang on one second. Uh,
Try on your browser. I think it might
yes, yeah.
work. Yeah.
Okay, let me do the Lazuli Bunting. Okay, can you hear that? You can't hear it? Okay,
I can hear you.
yeah. That's the call of the Lazuli Bunting.
Mm.
Yeah,
Sounds familiar though.
yeah. It's the one on the right which I actually had.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and the one on the left again is another lazuli bunting as it's mature. The one previous photographs was an immature one. This is more mature with all its breeding colors. The one on the left. The one in the middle is tern. Um, it's a shorebird that comes out. It's called elegant tern. That is usually in the coastal areas by the beach and ocean, and it hunts fish and things like that, sea creatures. The one on the right is a yellow warbler, which frequents stream sides and woodlands. Yeah, beautiful birds, and they all have different wonderful songs.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, see how variety there are. And the one on the left,
Oh, polka dot bird. That's
yes,
so beautiful.
yes, and the one on the left, this is called uh, red avadavat, and it's
Abadaba.
from India. It's from India, outside of Bangalore, that I photographed. This is the one that emotionally I'm very connected to because my mother loved this bird when she was alive. And every time I visited India and went birding, she would ask me, "Did you get this bird? Did you get it, bird?" And for 4 or 5 years, I never got it. Every time I visited India, I was never able to get this bird. It was quite elusive, or I think I was at the wrong time of the year. But when she passed away this last year, my friends, birders in Bangalore, decided I have to get this bird for in her memory, and they took me out. They figured out where it is, and I finally got it. And they told me in the field after I photographed that your mother spirit led you to this bird, and she knew that it was here and made sure you got it. And it was very touching movement for a moment for me. Yeah, it's a beautiful bird. And the one on the right, it's called coppersmith barbet. This is also a bird from India. And the reason why it's called coppersmith is because it makes a metallic sound that it seems like it is like a coppersmith hammering on the metal.
Mm.
So,
Very beautiful. It
yeah,
has so many colors, like
yes, right, right. And that's the marvelous aspect of nature. It's just amazing.
yeah.
And what no architect can do this
Yeah.
as wonderfully as nature.
I really like the red avadabat with
Yeah,
all the polka dots. I
yeah.
never.
And have you noticed if you look closely, a couple of the hearts, the white hearts, the white spots are like heart shaped. Yeah. So it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
heart shaped.
Here,
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
See that? Yes, 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 yes. Oh, so gorgeous.
Beautiful
Hmm.
red bird.
Thanks to your mom.
Yes. Yeah.
So beautiful.
So more birds from India. This is the left is the iconic kingfisher. It's called common kingfisher. You can find it among wherever there's water,
Mm.
ponds, even in agricultural fields where there's stock ponds for farm animals. You can find the kingfisher. And the one on the right is called um, uh, Treepy, and it's got a loud call, almost like crow-like. Yeah, but
Looks
beautiful.
like crow as well. The
Yeah,
face, the head part looks like
yeah,
crow. Colors are different though, right?
right. It's
And
called a
long tail.
right. It's called a rufous treepy. The word rufous meaning orangish.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Mm. So these are birds from Costa Rica. The one on the left is called the quetzal. It's a legendary bird among the native Indians in Central and South America. They believed that it was the spirit of their ancestors when they saw this bird. Beautiful bird. And the one on the right is a type of hummingbird that brilliant color. Again, this bird looks very dark if there is no sun. Once the sun hits at the right angle, you
Mhm.
see all the different colors.
Has more dark shades on it. Yeah.
Right. And again,
Like,
this is another, more bird. This is from Ecuador. One on the left is a tanager. The tanager family has a lot of different kinds of birds. The one on the right is called the cock of the rock, and it's just such a unique bird. And again, you have to marvel at the evolution that created the shape, and everything has a purpose. The shape of its beak, the head. There is a reason why it evolved into that,
yeah.
because that allows it to fish or hunt or gather food in a unique way.
Ooh, wow.
This is from Ecuador, and these are the one on the left is called a gannet. Um,
They're
uh,
two birds, right?
yes, yes, and these birds dive sometimes in unison or in several dozens of them. They dive when they see the fish,
Mm.
and moments before it hits the water, it folds its wings like that. If it doesn't, it'll die immediately because of the impact. It's hitting the water at such a force, but it never dies because instinctively it folds its wings to streamline it. And
Look at the beak shape, like
yeah,
so sharp. It's like a
yeah,
airplane.
correct. Yes, aerodynamic, very
Aero-
aerodynamic.
Yeah,
Look at the
yeah,
way it is shaped. Amazing. I think people who manufactured airplanes got the idea from this.
yeah.
The
This,
prototype was developed from this.
yeah, yeah.
The one
Wow.
on the right is an albatross. It has the largest wingspan from one
It's
end to
so
the other.
wide.
Yes.
Wow.
From one end to the other, it's about 11 feet.
Ooh.
Yeah,
It's like bigger than the bird. It's
right,
almost twice the amount.
right, right.
See.
Yeah. And this bird can soar for miles and miles without flapping its wings. One bird, one albatross was recorded as soaring from one part of the world to the other, almost to Australia, without flapping once. It just rode the wind currents all the way, the thermals. Yeah,
And the left one again, it reminds me of like fighter jets
fighter
almost.
jets. Yes,
The way they go
right,
like and
right, right. And I think the fighter jets and other things that people created streamline comes
mm,
from these kinds of watching these birds.
fast,
Yeah,
yeah, fast birds, right?
right.
So
And I
much
was
to
fascinated standing on a beach watching them dive bombing every time, dive bombing, you know, one after the other. Yeah. And this took, uh, I had, you require a very fast shutter speed to capture
yeah.
this bird. And I had it at 1/6,000th of a second or something like that. And
You also need that technological, I think, understanding of to capture these type of shots that
yes, I
of
mean, yeah,
camera.
these kinds of shots require the more action or faster the bird,
Yeah.
you require a good understanding of the speed,
Yeah.
lighting, all of those things.
How do
Um,
you balance, capturing you essence of the bird, as in I forgot the name you mentioned, of the left side
Gan-
bird.
yeah, Gannett,
Gap, Gallet,
Gannett, yeah,
Garrett. So how do you the way capturing the soul or the essence of the Garrett versus also preparing technically to make sure it's there, right? Balancing that, I think, is so you have to prepare way ahead and then do your homework in order to get them.
yeah. Very good question. In fact, sometimes the challenge is how do you really enjoy the sight of the bird for itself and not be too involved in the act of capturing the bird. In other words, getting immersed in the technology of the camera gear, but surely enjoying at the same time enjoying the birds. It's a balancing act. You have to do that. But in in answer to your question, um, I don't always prepare too much in advance because you don't know what you're going to see and how the action will unfold. So you have to be prepared and be flexible to change. And that comes with practice. Because suddenly you can have a bird, a still sitting bird, and suddenly you can have a bird coming in from your right, darting across the horizon, and you want to photograph that immediately. And so you have to be prepared to change the angle, shutter speed, lighting, all of that. You have to be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it change the way you when you capture them, right? Does it shape also your thought process later on? Because you come to some realization probably after you capture, or you'd have had an understanding, but then when you actually experience it, it's a different, might change your perception or realization.
Yes, it does happen that way
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. I don't regret that whatever photographs I take, I don't change my mind and said I should have done this, I should have done that. So it's human nature to think that
Yeah.
way, but
Yeah.
not for long, because
Mm.
every picture has a story to tell.
Mhm.
But the beauty about capturing birds on camera is when you go back and look at it or you share, just as I'm doing right now with you, I am thinking about the time I was in Ecuador on that beach photographing that bird. So you can relive the moment, especially because it was so fascinating. So it gives you a sense of connection back to the time that you had, and you remember your friends going with you. And so that's why birding and bird photography is so wonderful. It brings you back to the place. Yeah.
And also you're sharing, so it's like kind of feel I'm part of your experience too.
Right. Right.
And the listeners now, like
Right.
whoever is going to listen and watch, they're all going to be part of your experience. So
Right. I once put a picture up on a Facebook, and
yeah.
a lady commented that I can almost touch it. I feel like I can almost touch it, and that was a wonderful compliment. So again, birds represent spirituality. As I said before, there's many wonderful quotes and uplifting words associated with birds. So here's one that says, "Love is a bird with two wings. One wing is wisdom, the other wing is compassion. If either wing is broken, the bird cannot fly." It's an Eastern parable. So that tells you that every one of us is important in this world. Uh, Without the benefit of all kinds of people, we cannot function in this world in harmony. We need everybody. And that unifying concept is nowhere more prevalent than in birds because they cooperate, they work together, and they create harmony. You know, next. Um, Apart from photography, my passion is painting birds as well. And I used to do different media, but the medium most like is watercolor. So these are watercolor.
It's the hardest though, right?
I'm sorry. Hard.
That is the hardest.
Yes.
Watercolor with
Yes.
birds. It's
Yes.
wow.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, water is difficult to control.
Yeah.
You gotta have patience, and it comes with practice, and you
Mm.
get better. And the one on the left is an Anna's hummingbird. This is actually from a photograph. I should have put a photograph of that bird, but the one on the right is called a wood duck. And so I photograph the birds, sometimes come home and, uh, you know, Saturday afternoon, evening, or Sunday, I sit down and paint. And my daughter calls me and says, "I know what you're doing. You're painting a bird, aren't you?" So,
This is so beautiful, Manju. The colors are, I mean, you're making them stand out. I mean, as good as the pictures that you
thank you.
take on your camera. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Very
Appreciate.
beautiful.
So I enjoy. A lot of people find joy in viewing my paint. I put it on Facebook. I've got an Instagram, and people love to see that. And sometimes they ask me if I don't put any paintings, "Where's your next painting?" And so
You should share the Instagram
yeah,
link. We'll put it in the description. People want to, come back
yes, yes, definitely,
it's just even just looking at them is so relaxing.
yes,
So I can connect to nature just by looking at them. So
yes, yes, and you feel that flow of water and that air when you look at it. And again, as I mentioned, you can have to be a part of nature, and this is one way of you. When I finish painting, um, before I start a painting, I close my eyes and pray to nature, and then I'm actually transformed into that situation where I photograph the bird, and that helps me paint the bird.
it's a nice. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Here's
You
more
have
painting.
so many background here.
Yeah.
The left one is
It
with watercolor. That must have been so hard to paint.
yeah, it this was a little bit tough, but it's uh it's called the Indian paradise flycatcher, and this is an actual bird I photographed, and its tail is three times the size of its body.
Oh,
Yeah, and the one on the right is a American bird, and I was able to paint that after photograph. More painting, and then each one has a different color. So uh, I when I paint and I show this, I'm doing some outreach with children. I'm showing how they can be part of nature by photographing and painting. I led a class last year through the parks department, which was a pretty unique class, they said, because it was both photography and painting. So, and anybody can pick this up, really. I mean, people get intimidated that, oh, it's so hard, but if they give it a try, you know, they'll realize that sometimes they can come up with things, and it's fascinating. Even the attempt to paint is very peaceful. There's no wrong. If you don't get it right, fine. Just go on to the next sheet of paper. You know, so I encourage people to paint. Yeah. So next, so you know, birding provides an ultimate source of joy and entertainment. So here's a group of people, Southern California. We all went out birding and to look at all the different people carrying equipment. So, cameras and stuff. So,
So heavy duty gears there.
yes, yes, yes. So it's always fun.
And I like your all color wearing nature colors to maybe for camouflaging, so
Correct.
you're not
Yeah, yeah. It's
looking
not
like.
a must, but if you camouflage, you're better able to get close to the bird. They're not
Mm.
so alarmed. Bright colors alarm them sometimes,
Mm.
you know. So even my camera gear is camouflaged so that when I point at the bird, it doesn't seem to intrude on the bird as much. Yeah,
That's so thoughtful,
yeah.
thoughtful of you.
And every time after we go birding, we go out and have lunch together, and it's so much fun to sit and laugh. And birds unite us, basically. It brings together people, and no matter what, again, your difficulties are your in your personal life, you forget that, and you enjoy nature. And this is in Costa Rica. More photographs of birds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is fascinating.
yeah.
Like to
So this was a video. It doesn't work,
okay.
and there are birds called birds of paradise. They're called, and mostly in Papua New Guinea. Very unique birds. I mean, amazing dances and calls, and so very
You see
unique.
the feather there, the way
Yes. Yeah.
the tail and the
Yeah.
feather and the
Right.
colors. It's
Right. And think about the marvel of evolution. How many millions of years it must have taken for this to be evolved, and every one of them has an ecological reason why they are that shape and color. They provide a function. Okay, and again, as I said, birds are associated with a lot of wonderful spiritual communication, and one is how pleasant the lives of the birds must be, living in love in a leafy tree. So this sums it up, what the birds are.
and that's the last one, right?
There should have been another one, but that's okay. Uh,
Yeah, I think not able to see anymore.
okay. I think I had one last saying, but I'll probably uh, read it out of my slide here. Um, okay. Oh, it's not showing up. Okay, it's all right. So yeah, that's the end of it.
Thank you for sharing, Manju.
You're welcome.
You know, it just shows the soulful attempt that you're you put for so many years in capturing different species of birds and documenting them. And you have so much memory about all of different species. One last question before we go. With with climate change and all varying temperatures and weather patterns, how do you think, I'm sure the birds are resilient. How do you think, based on your experience, it will have an impact on these birds and how would they cope with that?
Extremely good question. Uh, we don't know for sure, really. Uh, Climate change is for real. I mean, it's happening, and it's getting worse. So there is one theory that says birds that are more adaptable to different environment and habitats. For example, the crows. They're very adaptable to different things, and so some birds, like some parrots, for example, these are birds that can survive this, possibly the changes. They may not be the same, but they can adapt and exploit something else. Maybe warmer climate will create a food source that they were not depending on right now, but they may adapt to survive on that. And so these types of birds, which are already very flexible and adaptable, will survive. Those birds that are extremely specialized, and that the word that's used is called a niche. If they have a certain niche, and like birds in Hawaii that have very curved beaks that depend on only one kind of flower for the nectar, those birds may go extinct. It's already happening, and that might increase because the climate change may wipe out their food source or their prey item. Yeah. So, but nobody knows for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess we can mitigate it. We cannot really prevent at this point.
Right.
And thanks to people like you who have been making the society aware and then show that these type of beauties exist, so people who care can continue caring, and then others can get inspired, hopefully, and we can all together come and care for these type of all types of nature, not just the birds, right? And we are in the ecosystem and we are holistic.
Correct.
um, Going back to your first message, how interdependent we are, so I think all we can do is care at this point.
I mean, that's right. Well said. And that's, if any message I have for people, you know, you it is important especially times like this, which is very stressful, to look towards nature because you can't go wrong. Nature is omnipresent. It is benevolent. Nature has compassion and never criticizes you. So you have a friend in nature and a protector in nature. So my message is, whenever you feel stressed and lost or alone, go out and enjoy birds and listen to their songs. Even if it's a few minutes, you'll feel better.
Such a beautiful message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having
Yeah.
me. It's a great
Yeah,
pleasure.
that was a pleasure for the eyes and ears, Manju, to learn so much about birds, and it's actually inspiring to. I can see myself being more observant when I'm in outside,
Yeah,
even in my own backyard.
right.
I can see that I'll be more mindful of like trying to understand birds, or so. Thank you for
You're,
bringing that awareness.
you're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Soul in the Game podcast. This is your host again, Soumya. Hope you enjoyed learning more about birds and nature from our own birdman Manju. Please go visit the website, his website, with all the pictures, more pictures you can see. That's provided in the description. Don't forget to provide any feedback and types of episodes you would like to listen more. As always, I appreciate your kind words and support. Keep listening. Until next time, take care.